Do you have a specific routine when you write your book?
Yeah, I like to fortify myself with on-site research and also additional textbook and internet research before writing. So by the time I'm in the chair, I kind of know what I want to do and what I want to talk about. Some writers outline, others don't. I prefer it because it gives me a blueprint to build from. So that's basically how I get ready to write. And then it's just discipline. I'm using a standing desk now. A lot of writers like to get in the chair
So that
and
you
just
can
start
move your feet
hacking
so that
away.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit more demonstrative. So that's how I approach it.
So it's kind of like the same when you walk around when you think of something to write. Like pretty
Yeah,
similar.
yeah, and nowadays you have a phone where you could record. You don't need a micro cassette recorder anymore. You could just
Mm-hmm.
type notes into your phone, if you need to.
Okay. So are they based on real people? Like the
No,
characters of your
I
book?
don't. I'm inspired by real people, but I never base characters on real people.
Mm. Okay, so about their background, what influenced your decision to become a writer?
Well, basically, at a young age, my mom said, "What do you like to do?" And I said, "Well, I like to write." So she said, "Well, why don't you study journalism then?" So I studied journalism, and I've always loved to write. Not only fiction, but I've also been a professional business writer for decades now.
So nowadays, compared to like, let's say from 10 years ago, do you think writing a book to this day and 10 years ago is has similarities? Or is it easier today than it is 10 years ago?
It's easier in some senses to get published nowadays, but I think the market is still really dominated by your top tier authors and their followings. So while it's easier to publish, it's more difficult for young and even experienced writers to break through a lot of um, the other books that readers have a chance to choose from. So yeah, it's easier to publish, but the market's bigger.
What are your thoughts on the current state of the publishing industry?
Well, I think it's definitely changing. I think you're seeing a little bit of a movement away from necessarily having representation, although it's still very important to, a more of a more opportunities through small boutique publishers, which someone turned me on to years ago. Say, you write like in a really kind of blue collar fashion. You probably want to hook, a boutique or a pulp fiction publisher for your kind of material. So I've been doing that ever since. And even with this, there's a whole lot of discipline. You hold down a day job, and you're also really dedicated and enthusiastic about your fiction. So you're going to carve out time in your schedule. And so right now, the market's still tilted toward like those top authors, but you are seeing small presses now able to carve out a little bit more of a market share uh, in terms of thanks to platforms like Amazon
Mm-hmm.
that do give an opportunity for small presses and authors who have a lot of talent but just haven't caught the eye of the very inclusive large publishers and literary agent houses.
How do you handle criticism or negative reviews on your books?
That has been a growth for me. I'm just happy anyone reads the book and they can get out of it what they wish to. Criticism. I work with some other authors. Glenn Mueller is a good example. He's a Canadian writer. We share ideas, we share approaches, and he keeps me honest and I keep him honest. So that was a great relationship I forged many years ago. I think criticism is something that's necessary. The only problem I have with self-published authors right now is those specific ones who don't really go through a lot of review and feedback and actually address the feedback they receive before they publish. Um, but so that's kind of my approach to criticism. I've learned a lot. You listen, and ultimately you make the decision you want to make, but you don't snap back at them.
Because they actually read the book, the whole book, and they tell you what they like, what they don't like, and stuff like that. Well, what do you enjoy most about being an author, though?
I do like helping other authors. That's one thing. An approachable guy, so if anyone ever wants to, just talk shop with me, I love to. I enjoy everything that comes with the writing, the research, the outlining, the brainstorming, writing synopsises. Other authors are going to hate me for that, but I love writing synopsises and summaries for whether it's my own work or someone else's. I
Hmm.
really enjoy doing that.
What do you hope to explore in your future writing?
Well, we're going to do some more horror, very kind of otherworldly organisms. So I like to blend sci-fi with horror. So we'll have some more of that. Um, and we'll also be trying to get another Western out fairly soon within the next year. So
Hmm.
I've already started the research for that.
So you're working on anything new?
If you talk about what you're working on, it loses its strength. So I don't really talk about it
Mm-hmm.
in specifics, but I will say that I'm working on a new western that involves characters from different parts of the world. It was that point where there was a lot of migration to the Pacific United States, and I'll keep it at that. And I'm also working on another creature feature for a company called Raventail Publishing.
So we'll just keep the suspense.
Right, sure. And if you're waiting for something from me, everyone check out Byproduct. It's a sci-fi horror novel from Raventail Publishing.
What themes or messages do you hope readers take away from your book?
Yeah, I think of the REM song. It's like, what is the meaning of life? And they come out with this, oh, life, it's bigger. It's bigger than you. So I guess that's what I want people to take away, and that's why reading is so important. You understand other people's perspectives, no matter where they are or who they are.
Oh, I do like REMs also. If this is like a fun question, so if you could have a dinner with any author, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before. Um, I don't know, Dante Alighieri or someone like that, someone ancient. By speaking to him, that means I don't have to go into the basement of the library to pull out volumes
Mm-hmm.
to research. I could just
Mm-hmm.
interview him, right?
You ask him for a words of wisdom, personally.
Right.
What is a fun fact about you that most readers wouldn't know?
Well, I like to bring out the time I was at the zoo and I was a misbehaved little boy, and I was wearing my Major League Baseball jacket, and it had all the team emblems, Cubs, Pirates, Yankees, Red Sox, all these different emblems. And I had taken it off, and I was holding it in my arm, and I stepped over the fence I was supposed to go to and got too close to the elephant, and its trunk reached out and grabbed my jacket, and I was having a tug of war with this elephant handler. The person working there wasn't too happy with me, so he ran out and extracted the jacket that the elephant was devouring. It was, putting it in its mouth using its trunk. And I mean, I'll never forget that. I mean, this great beast, you know, here I am, an 9-year-old boy or whatever, having a tug of war with something that outweighs me by thousands, you know. 1,000 times my weight, right? So that was quite of an experience. And I also got yelled at by the teachers who were chaperoning the event to school. So, kids would come up to me years later. Ah, there's Dean. Hey, Dean, you remember the time you got in the tug of war with that elephant? Yeah. So that's probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me. Fortunately, I guess it's your own. It's good to have community around you, but it's your own responsibility, right? So if you want to be a writer, it's basically you have to, at times you can sit around other people as you write, but basically it's you got to get locked in the zone, and you have to, it's you and a blank page, kind of have to know what you're going to already say already. And then, you can either let it rip or work from an outline. I prefer an outline because, again, it gives me direction, a blueprint. You're not going to build a you're not going to build a skyscraper without a blueprint. You're
Hmm.
not even going to build a two-story without a blueprint. So that's why I would advocate for that. But people are different and they have their different ways of reaching their goals. So that's what I would tell them. And one other thing I see a lot, and probably want to get this out there, is often you'll see a writer who's completed their first novel, and what happens is generally they end up self-publishing it, and then they get it caught in this marketing mode of just continuing to market and market that self-published novel without writing anymore. So that's what I would just let run young and emerging writers understand that it's a process. It's not a one and done thing if you're serious about it.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do all of this. Is there anything you want to tell? Is there something you want to promote?
Yeah, sure. I'd urge fans of Western thrillers to check out my new novel, The Barco Clan, from Dusty Saddle Publishing.